Right, beautiful but very chilly morning here at TV47. I don't know how hot or cold wherever you are is, but yes, it's quite chilly. We'll be taking a look at the weather situation later on. But karibu sana TV47 breakfast. My name is Fred Indemuli. Ano Dida is back. Lakini hajakuja na joto. Kwani ulikuwa wapi?
We nakwambia leo nimekuwa tu ku Nairobi this weekend. Then that is why it's cold, because usually weekends I'm not in, I'm home.
Yeah,
na home kuna jua, sasa nakuja na hiyo joto.
Enda home. Yeah.
Happy International Day of the African Child. Before tuingilie hiyo, Mwashumbe, good morning.
Nasikia Mwashumbe.
We're good. Kuja TV, kuja studio tupige story huko.
Captain Mwashumbe amefika na hajaingia studio, anazurura tu huku bana.
Yes, thank you.
Ungekuja studio tuambie hivyo. The problem is that with TV now, they don't get to see or hear what we hear.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in our heads right now.
Sasa wanadhani
watu wa radio
tunasema
wanajaribu kutuchokora hapa na pale.
Yes.
Na watazamaji hawaelewi ni nini. Msijali.
Nakumbuka Breakfast 47 pia inafaa kuwa live. I'm wondering kwa nini anaperambulate.
Sinakwambia nazunguka tu kwa compound. Anyway, karibu sana. My name is Fred Indemuli and the World Cup is going on. Currently as we speak,
Yes.
Iran wanapelekana sana New Zealand 2-2 draw right now. Yeah. Na in about it's almost ending. It's about injury time. Shabmaliza ile normal time 90 minutes, so it's plus 5 minutes. Tutajua vile inaenda. Meanwhile, a number of African countries performed very well. Big up Egypt for holding Belgium.
Yeah.
1-1 yesterday. Cape Verde pia walitoka draw na Spain.
Yes. Yeah, Cape Verde in Croatia.
Spain ni team kubwa sana.
Yes.
Today, another big team, Senegal to face France. That's a big one. And Iraq to face Norway tomorrow. But currently, Iran versus New Zealand almost ending. And World Cup inashika. Lakini hii Iran, you know, they had promised that once they come, they will only play, they will land in the US, play the game, and fly out immediately. Nilisikia it's against the rules of FIFA.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to be there at least 48 hours before the game. But hawa wana land, wanacheza, okay, after the game you can go.
Yeah. Hawataki mambo ya US, wamejam? Ama shida
Wamejam,
nini?
lakini unajua pia Trump alisema hiyo shida na Iran ilisha and they've reopened the Strait of Hormuz. Whether or not that's happening, we're still yet to know. Yeah. So kama uko pale Strait of Hormuz, tuambie wamefungua hiyo gate. Because it's only when they reopen that Strait of Hormuz that will have reduced fuel prices.
Yeah.
So it will definitely benefit us. Other big stories, President William Ruto left yesterday evening for France. Hata mkisema na fly sana, ameenda tena.
Yes.
He's attending the G7 summit and is the only African head of state invited to that summit. He'll be representing African voices there. So nyie endeleeni kupiga kelele kwa ndege.
Yes. Huko hadi Trump yuko.
Yeah.
Lakini this World Cup I feel like haiko hyped sana kama za kitambo.
But it's okay.
Tumetulia.
No. It's just too early. It's too
Is
early.
it?
Match day what? Match day 3 or 4. It's still too early because everyone is playing their first matches right now. They're yet to get into the second round.
Kitambo by now I think kulikuwa na a lot of hype around the World Cup.
Once it gets to the quarterfinals, or the elimination stage. So that we know who's proceeding to the last 16.
Who is the potential winner, director? Director amesema potential winner hawajacheza.
Of course, me, I support France. Potential winners, France. But let's wait until they play their first game against Senegal. I know Senegal is an African team, but hapa ni ngumu sana.
All right. Once again, happy International Day of the African Child. Una feel seen as an African child?
At least I feel seen now.
Yeah.
As an African child, yes. Things have really changed.
Yeah.
Kitambo mulikuwa tu statistic. Right now, your voice can be heard. Yes. African journalists are everywhere. They're actually making great strides across the world, not just here.
Right.
Larry Madowo, you have to say bana.
Yes.
Larry Madowo and fly everywhere and on a report for CNN hata in Europe sometimes. So yeah, I think we're being seen. Hata kama sio sana. Yeah, we're being seen.
Yeah, we're being seen. And that is actually what is celebrated today, that it's a global moment of attention for the rights, safety and potential of children across Africa. Lakini tumesema we are surpassing that. We're not only in Africa, but we are making strides globally as
but it
well.
comes at a time when serious concerns have been raised about the more than 1,000 children who may be missing in Kenya. At least now the discussion, government has picked up that discussion. it is something that is worrying as we celebrate the the Day of the African Child.
Yeah.
Where are those children? And where are they being taken?
Yeah.
1,000 of them plus, that's a lot.
It is. All right. So these are just some of the stories making headlines today, and we'll be looking at some more in depth in the dailies. But at this point, let's take a look at the state of the weather. All right, it is a chilly day in Nairobi this morning. Let's see how it's looking across the country. Tunaanza Makueni, it's a mostly cloudy day today, 18 degrees this morning. Highs of 30 degrees in Makueni, not so bad. Kakamega, there will be scattered thunderstorms today. This morning it's 19 degrees. Highs of 27 degrees expected today. Nairobi, it's a mostly sunny day. This morning is 16 degrees, doesn't feel like it though. Highs of 26 degrees expected throughout the day.
It feels like 9.
It feels like 9, I do agree. Ama nije tuko Kiambu?
Probably tuko Kiambu.
Tuko kwa border ya Kiambu na Nairobi. Turkana, it's a partly sunny day, 27 degrees this morning, highs of 36 degrees. Elgeyo Marakwet, it's a partly sunny day. This morning it's 9 degrees. Highs of 21 degrees expected in Elgeyo Marakwet today. And finally, Nyeri County, it's a partly sunny day today this morning. It's 14 degrees. Highs of 24 degrees expected in Nyeri County today. And that's the state of the weather.
Yes, I can confirm Kiambu is a bit chilly. 12 degrees this morning, highs of 24, so probably on the effect tunasikia because it's really chilly in and around the offices here at Cape Media. But yes, let's not get really bothered about the weather. Let's get some inspiration this morning. Quote of the day.
It is better to be hated for what you are than to be loved for what you're not.
All right, that's the quote of the day. Now let's come back and take a look at the local dailies and regional dailies in depth.
We start off with the Standard this morning. JKIA, 375 billion shillings deal. It is Chivayo. They call it a weighty matter. Hata Standard hapa amekuja sana. No, and it's a weighty matter. The government has awarded a stake in the 375 billion shilling JKIA expansion to a farm owned by Zimbabwean businessman Wycliffe Chivayo. And I think that's where the weighty matter is. Are they talking about his weight? Or his level of influence on African presidents, probably. So he's a familiar face at State House with close ties to President William Ruto, reviving scrutiny of the project months after the collapse of the Adani deal amid public outrage. So from Adani to Chivayo. The new arrangement sees Chivayo linked interests brought in as partners of a Chinese consortium, a move already raising questions over how he secured a foothold in such a sensitive national project. Critics point to his prior fraud conviction. So ni kama tu Adani. Adani had been convicted huko US. Chivayo pia kona mambo yake. Lakini wanasema, while the Law Society of Kenya is demanding full disclosure of the contract terms and warning against what it calls a repeat of the same opacity under a different name. This is a story on page 4. And you know, now people are saying, okay, fine, can we see the deal? Tuonyeshe tu your deal. It's the same thing we were asking about that quarantine facility.
Yeah.
Even the court asked, can we see the deal? What exactly have you agreed to? Now the Law Society is saying, okay, show us this deal. Fine, it's a weighty matter. We can actually see it's about weight. It is Chivayo, but it's a very weighty matter. Let's see the deal. Yeah, the same way we had issues with Adani, and the president had no choice but to listen to us. Why is he not? Okay, let's say probably he should listen to Kenyans as well this time around.
Yeah,
just show us the deal. What exactly is this rather weighty
deal,
Wicknell Chivayo deal all about?
Yeah, they call it a fraudster's farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're Chivayo. So already we're a Zimbabwean fraudster's farm secures stake in 375 billion JKA deal.
But
it's not that any farm, it's a fraudster's farm.
Yes. Everywhere you see this guy is always at State House, either in Zimbabwe with Mnangagwa, he's with Ramaphosa, he's with African presidents everywhere. And people have been asking. And I remember they did this story and he was in front page again. And they were asking, okay, who exactly is this guy? How come he's always at State House, or at least he frequents State House? He seems to be having direct access to State House. Yeah, wajaribu kwenda hapo gate B ama gate D uone kama tuulizo kama unajua nani huko ndani.
Deep down you want to be Chivayo. Some of us.
It's a rather weighty matter. Yeah. So that's the story on page 4. Other quick stories. Yeah, Zimbabwean fraudsters farm. Unajua they're not even hiding. Hata waiki ati parenthesis or anything. Wanasema tu fraudsters farm. But he's not ati fully in charge of the whole deal. His business is linked to, his interests are represented in the deal. That a different company has the deal. Lakini kweli, how come we do not know anything about this deal?
Do we really ever know about any deals in this country? Unless, you know, tumesikilia from a third party. As you see even the issue of Ebola.
Yeah.
If not for posts from Washington Posts and US media outlets, would we have known about that deal?
So if we don't bother about Ebola to airport to shughulike nayo. Okay, we move on swiftly. Some politics on the page 2 of this paper. Matiang'i warns of ID fraud. That's the ID story that kicked off yesterday. Watu wanasema kuna watu from Ethiopia, Uganda and Somalia who are getting IDs. But I love this story on page 3. Yesterday, the UK Prime Minister announced that social media in the UK has been banned for people who are 16 years and below. Wewe najua mtoto wako hapa Kenya probably has a Facebook or TikTok page already, or even, what do you call it, Instagram. Yeah. Children as young as 2-3 years old already have accounts here in Kenya. In the UK, that's not allowed. No internet use, no social media for anyone below 16 years. Yes. Do you agree with that?
It's a good thing because as a 16-year-old, ulikuwa na simu at 16 years old.
Utoe wapi?
Utoe wapi? Right. I had my first phone immediately after Form 4. I think I was 17.
Yeah, 16. Well, I was 16. The only phone access we had, you know, there were landlines. Mobile phones weren't there. So yes, we had access to the phone. But nile lazima mzazi akisikia simu anauliza ni nani amepiga hiyo simu? Ulikuwa unaongea na nani?
Yes. Yeah. So I think this is actually a good thing for the UK. If Kenya we were to implement this, it will also save kids from addiction.
Yes.
A lot of say dangerous content as well.
It is said that even the school fires, the way they get to learn that a different school has already have an incidence of fire and they've already been sent home, they will learn because there are many people within schools, learners, who are 16 years and below who have phones in school.
In school?
Yes.
And schools allow that?
No, it's not allowed, but they smuggle in the phones as well, just like in prison.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So for them, someone was asking, watoto wakiwa shule wanajuaje shule ingine imechomwa? They have phones. They smuggle phones huko. They even charge their colleagues.
Some schools have TVs and they watch news. Some schools.
Yeah. Oh, mlikuwa mna watch news?
We did watch news.
Walikuwa shule ya nini?
A very big school in Western.
Wale wa kipaumbele. Yeah. All right. So Kirich, still missing. That's a CEC for Finance in Nairobi County. Process to compensate victims of violence starts. That's a big story and we'll see it on another front page. But questions are being asked, okay, fine. Because they're saying they have a verified list of those who suffered, including those who suffered from enforced disappearance. So tunauliza, okay, sasa mtu kama is missing and it was enforced disappearance, how would you know where is that list coming from?
Yeah.
Yeah? Those are the questions.
But how would you know they're missing? What if the family is lying?
How would we know? How do you verify that someone's kin is missing if they're yet to be found?
Yeah. And what if they come back after they are compensated? Because unajua utapata familia imesema huyu alipotea, lakini wanaambia the kin just stay there, don't come now. Then the money comes in and then they're back.
Or is it an admission by police that yes, it was us who enforced that disappearance? Yeah. And what does that mean? All right. Other stories, untouchables inside cabinet where failure gets rewarded. Yeah, hiyo ni story nyingine huko. On the back page, matters World Cup 2026. Diallo lifts Ivorians against Ecuador as Curacao gets harsh German lessons. So some of the recent results: Sweden beat Tunisia. That's an African country. 5-1. Hey, bana, si ni mwanzo tu. Sweden wana ubaya mingi. Sasa hii si masaa ya kupiga watu bao 5. Ngojea muone kama mtafika quarters.
They're showing off.
But Sweden wako na ule jamaa wa Arsenal. Itwa Gyökeres. That's why they do what they do. Ni Arsenal too everywhere, you know. It's just Arsenal. Cote d'Ivoire meanwhile beat Ecuador 1-0. The Netherlands drew with Japan 2-2. And Germany whitewashed Curacao 7-1. Hiyo ni whitewash. Babao saba. Amoni yoni show off. Tuliza boli bana. Ngojea bado. France seeking payback as they tackle Senegal. Senegal, I'm sure they will receive a lot of... If you look at the teams, Senegal, Sadio Mane against France's Kylian Mbappe, you're tempted to actually support Senegal. Yeah. Mbappe has become very arrogant of late, but I still have a soft spot for Le Bleu of France. That's a standard today.
All right, now that you made mention of the compensation, let's continue from there. Daily Nation, all right, ayo ni nyingine. 2 billion shillings payout for over 1,000 protest victims. That's not the main story, but iko hapa chini. The president is quoted here. He said, "Let me also be clear about what these payments are and what they are not. They are not the price of a life, of pain, or of loss. No figure could ever be. That more than 1,000 victims of human rights violations, including police brutality and the use of excessive force by state agents, will receive compensation after the government approved a reparations program for which 2 billion shillings has been set aside. The highest payout is to the families of those killed by police, including during anti-government demonstrations, with each set to get at least 2.5 million shillings as compensation for loss of life." During the launch of the framework for the compensation yesterday, President William Ruto described the development as beginning of the end of a painful chapter in the country's history. This story has been captured on page 6, and the breakdown of how the money will be paid out has also been outlined on the front page right here. Fatal shootings, death in custody or during demonstrations, that one is 2.5 million plus medical expenses, right? And forced disappearances, hiyo ndio tunasema, lakini hii imepata pesa mingi sana. 1.5 million shillings.
Minimum.
Now the question is, what if now they come back? How do we figure out who got lost, who disappeared?
Or is it people who were arrested and then they came out and confirmed that it is indeed police who are holding them for longer periods?
Abductions.
Yes. They're not calling them abductions. Yeah, they're calling them enforced disappearance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
is this an admission? Yeah. So this is an admission by the police that they were actually conducting the abductions. Those are the enforced disappearance. What else would you call enforced disappearance in Kenya? And it's verified, because they're saying all this will be paid to verified cases. Yeah. How else do you verify that it was enforced disappearance?
Another one is loss of business. The minimum you get is 100,000 Kenyan shillings. Imagine biashara yako umeweka pale town, business worth say 5 million Kenyan shillings. Then it was vandalized during the protest, and then now you're compensated with 100,000 shillings. Yes.
The whole supermarket was touched.
A lot of them in Naivasha.
So you can imagine 100,000 bob. No, but they say minimum. That's what they say. Oh no, that one is not. It's not minimum. That's the only money you'll be given. Loss of business, 100,000.
Yeah.
Hope ulikuwa na insurance.
All right. Other quick headlines here. Court orders don't matter to them, and these guys are here on the front page. Supremacy battle. Cases revive recent conflict between judiciary and executive. Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale is here battling charges of advancing US-backed Ebola facility in violation of court orders. Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi fighting contempt proceedings for duty-free rice imports that breach decree. Attorney General Dorcas Oduor named in the Ebola facility proceedings of alleged non-compliance with disclosures order. Defense Principal Secretary Patrick Mariru faces contempt claims over delayed payments to 1982 attempted coup torture victims. Forestry Principal Secretary Gitonga Mogambi accused of defying court order halting construction of an airstrip in Imenti Forest. And Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja in trouble after police erected barbed wire barricades to block protesters from the city centers. So court orders don't matter to these guys here. That is a story captured on page 4 and 5. Critics argue the trend of disregarding decrees that those in authority find a nuisance is setting a dangerous precedent and risks taking the country down a slippery path to anarchy. Wanaona ni kama they're above the law. Israel lifts Ebola ban on travelers from Kenya after protests. Yes, walikuwa wametuweka kwa hiyo list ya watu ambao hawafai ku travel to Israel. Kenya,
why would you
Uganda.
think they would do that if Kenya has no single case
See,
of
Ebola, we want to bring that facility here in Laikipia. What else? What other reason? But of course, we are not in the list anymore. Rwanda pia imetolewa, and you can travel to Israel if you want. Ni kama kusema come if you want.
Yeah, come on, kwenda huko. Right now, Israel is at war with them. Why would I want to do that? But anyway.
Our Kenyan students beat 210,000 rivals to win global ICT title. That's another special coverage on page 3 of this newspaper. On the back page, Senegal seek a repeat of 2002 heroics against France tonight. Group 1 co-favorites France in action at the 82,000-seater MetLife Stadium from 10 p.m. That's the Daily Nation.
All right, let's take a look at the People Daily. Some politics here. Ruto's 2027 playbook, the political power of state funds. President, who framed himself as a champion for ordinary citizens in 2022, has rolled out a number of money-laden programs that are not only economic tools, but also potential assets that could influence voter behavior in coming elections. They've listed them here. The Hustler Fund, the Nyota Fund, there's a Women Empowerment Fund, kuna ingine hapa, the National Infrastructure Fund, and of course, Social Health Authority. So these are just some of the, according to this paper, some of the programs that this president has spearheaded. And according to them, this may have a major play into next year's elections. But Hustler Fund, Nyota Fund, even Women Empowerment Fund, these funds that you're not required to pay back. Many people are saying these are simply handouts. Yeah. Unangojea unakula hiyo pesa alafu unasema well tutajua vile kutaenda mbele.
Yeah.
Because like for the example, the Nyota Fund, you're not required to pay back. The Hustler Fund, people have decided we are not paying back. Yeah.
There's no proper strategy to track how these funds are spent.
Yes. I don't know if the Women Empowerment Funds, how it's performing. SHA, we know the story. The National Infrastructure Fund, a lot has been said about that, and probably now this is what they call Ruto's 2027 playbook, the political power of state funds. Other stories here, still more politics. How Farouk Kibet is shaping the political narrative in Western Kenya. The president's aide has been spending a lot of time, quite a lot of time in Western Kenya. And it looks like he's the one spearheading the president's campaigns in that part of the country. So how he's doing, you can read that on page 2. And MPs raise alarm over rise in missing children cases. As we continue celebrating the Day of the African Child, this is a big concern in Kenya, and it's been discussed at the National Assembly level as well. The number of Kenyan children who are missing, and no one knows where they are. That's on page 6 as well. That's the People Daily.
All right, Taifa Leo, Mulembe yapiganiwa, wanasema ni kivumbi. Makundi mawili makuu hasimu katika uchaguzi mkuu ujao yakiongozwa na Rais Ruto kwa upande mmoja na upinzani yaamua kupeleka vita magharibi kila moja likitaka kushawishi wapiga kura wa huko waliunge mkono. Wikendi kisadfa, makundi hayo yalipiga kampeni kali ya siku 3, ni nani atashawishi kura nyingi ya Mulembe. Serikali na muungano wa upinzani wakita kambi magharibi kuwania mamilioni ya kura za ukanda huo mwaka ujao. Umesema Faruka huko anafanya 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, lakini tuliwaona pia wale viongozi wa upinzani Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa walikuwa pale mwishoni wa mwaka wiki jana.
Yeah.
They spent quite some time in Western Kenya while the president was there. So it's official, the scramble for Western Kenya is officially on.
Yeah. Na sasa hiyo kitu ya elusive Luhya unity?
Sababu ndio wewe na shida. Elusive Luhya unity. So when you're scrambling,
Yeah.
but that's a proper scramble then, because there's a axis, they call it the Bukusu axis.
Yeah.
There's
Maragoli.
Vihiga, there's Kakamega.
Yeah.
So if it's a proper scramble, then everyone can have
Sure.
a piece of the cake from there in as far as votes are concerned. It's a proper scramble. If you see the president and the opposition leaders, both groups in one region at the same time, pale kuna kitu.
Vidokezo zaidi, ukaidi wa serikali sasa wasikitisha mapuuza ya maagizo ya koti hasa kuhusu msitu Imenti na ujenzi wa kituo cha Ebola ya Kera. That story we've talked about on the front page of the Daily Nation as well. Senegal versus France, ni nani mkali? Ni swali wanauliza katika ukurasa wa 13 wa gazeti hili. Wahanga wa maandamano kulipwa donge, that talks about compensation. Kule juu zaidi, afueni Iran na Amerika wakiafikiana katika mkataba huo wa amani, mlango bahari wa Hormuz sasa utafunguliwa. Taifa Leo.
All right, let's take a look at the Business Daily, because today the Star, and it's being Tuesday, it should be the free copy of the Star. We had to get it, not the physical copy or the e-paper. I don't know what's going on there. So Business Daily, World Bank snubs Kenya emergency loan request. Tushaanza kutafuta loan na tumenyimwa. Crisis financing not part of the agenda to be considered. Funds were to help manage the economic shocks of the Iran war. Kenya will miss out on emergency financing from the World Bank to cushion the country from the economic fallout brought by the Middle East war, with the multilateral lender instead considering Nairobi's earlier request for a $750 million loan. Also, komsa. Hiyo imekataliwa lakini loan bado inakuja tu. Other highlights on the front page of this paper. This is a Business Daily. New 10 billion shilling fuel subsidy piles cash flow pressures on marketers. So kuna ile tumerudi kwa subsidy tu. Yeah. Ile 10,000 reduction on diesel, it was thanks to this subsidy. And remember kuna ile ingine imekuja after EPRA reviewed the fuel prices on Sunday. So at least 20 shillings from what we had last month. Kenya plans wider ban on shisha imports. Wale wavutaji wa shisha. Kutakuwa na ban sasa. Hiyo gazeti imesema. And KCB Group sacks 60 as it steps war on fraud. Steps up war on fraud. KCB Group. Kunani kule? Gazeti la Business Daily. So let's go regional.
All right, we have the Star now.
Hii Star mnaeka pale. This is a Star that was here yesterday. Today being Tuesday, usually it's not for sale.
Yes.
Kwa hivyo mmepotea, mko nje. Tuvuke boda tuone wanazungumzia nini kule Uganda. Daily Monitor, where is the law? Maswala ya abduction. In Kenya kuna compensation ya even enforced disappearances. You know, actually, headlines in Uganda and Kenya usually mirror each other. Or whatever, you would actually, if you blocked that Monitor and you just say Daily, it could just be Daily Nation. Yeah? Where is the law, they ask? The abduction of lawyer and former Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago and a number of others by armed men in military uniform has dealt a body blow to the country's rule of law, casting a long shadow and dredging up of memories from the dark days the NRM once claimed to have buried when they marched out of the bush 40 years ago. So same claims, disappearances, enforced disappearances and abductions in Kenya and in Uganda. At least in Kenya, we're saying we're compensating them. That's the main story there on the front page of the Daily Nation. Of the Daily Monitor, sorry. New vision still in Uganda. Government overhauls CEO deputies recruitment. And President Museveni tasks new cabinet on economy. Main stories there. All right. Would you want to take a look at the ones in Tanzania? Start off with Mwananchi.
Alright, tuangalie gazeti la Mwananchi sasa. Wabunge wagusa matobo ya bajeti, walia na kodi mpya za pikipiki, magari chakavu, wakisema ni kuongeza umasikini kwa vijana. Ni habari tu katika ukurasa wa 4 wa gazeti hili. Daladala zaondolewa Kiaina, njia ya Mbagala kupisha mwendo kasi. Kiaina. Alright, idadi ya mabasi yaliyoingizwa na Moffat kwa ajili ya kutoa huduma njia ya Mbagala ni 200, lakini yanayotumika kwa sasa ni 50 pekee kule Tanzania. Ulikuwa umetuambia The Citizen?
Citizen bado sijaangazia.
Ama hawako?
Wako.
Alright, it's here. MPs sound alarm over growing budget risks. These are members of parliament in Tanzania. They've raised concern over mounting fiscal pressure on the government, warning that a widening financing gap in the universal health insurance scheme, rising public debt and weaknesses in project preparations could undermine the sustainability of key national programs. Transport shifters Daladalas moved to Mbagala BRT hub. That's another story. And when students swap studies for the allure of mining. It's a story captured on page 2. Kule juu, government pushes for more private investment in clean energy. And that's the dailies in Tanzania this morning. You realize in Tanzania there's a lot of talk and discussion about the budget making process. I don't know why we've moved on. In Kenya, we're no longer talking about the budget on the front pages. No, neither is Uganda. Yeah. Remember, all the 3 budgets were presented before the respective parliaments on Thursday last week. Today, we're going to be having the budget estimates and the finance bill tabled officially before the National Assembly for debate. So it is a big discussion. Matters budget. In Tanzania, they're talking about it. Kenya ni kama tumesahau kidogo, lakini sisi hatujasahau. Budget has to be discussed right here on State of the Nation TV47. We'll be doing that later on. Let's take a look at the cartoons. The caricature on page 17 of the Daily Nation talks about those that move yesterday, the reparation for victims, the 2 billion shillings that was set aside for compensation of victims of police brutality. So they have a caricature of the president portrayed here as a tailor. Anashona kijitamba kirefu kimeandikwa reparation for victims. Alafu anauliza next, so who's huko nyuma? Jamaa amefunikia coffins. So aenda anasema jina imetoka wapi? And you know, this is the question. Who has this list? Who has the names of people to be compensated? Is it Bwana Makao Mutua? Ule akichorwa lazima chorwe na siga. He was the chair of that compensation committee. Yeah, or is it the Kenya National Human Rights Commission? Yeah, so they presented the list they have. That list would, many people would want to see the list and just see, okay, fine, who exactly is being compensated? That's the cartoon on the Daily Nation. All right, the one on the Standard, how wanafinya kufinya. On one side, they talk about then when President William Ruto was campaigning and how he was trying to lure the Mount Kenya region. Msichana mrembo hapo, President amekuwa caricatured kama kijana ambaye anajaribu kuseduce tu. But now, then alikuwa anaambia, will you? Sasa anasema, you will. Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya. You will. Yeah, you will. Sasa mambo ni line moja hivi. Sikuulizi swali. The cartoon on the People Daily focuses on the World Cup and they draw parallels with the FKF, the local league, the local federation. So as even Harambee stars are watching the World Cup 2026 in the US, Mexico and Canada and learning lessons from that, nyuma ya kiti kuna scandals about to explode na FKF inasema, trust me, we can do better than that. And as far as scandal is concerned, or the World Cup. Yeah. You know no, I guess he's already in studio and is contributing to this discussion. Can we do better than that, the World Cup 2026? We've never been qualified for the World Cup. Even as the FKF is being burdened by scandal. Yeah. All right. So those are just some of the cartoons. And we'll be discussing, this will form the basis of our main discussions today, the budget, some politics. Rigathi Gachagua officially started his 45-day conclave yesterday. So we'll be looking at that if we get time. All right, let's take a look at the traffic situation in the city this morning. All right, and I can already see Mlolongo, there's a problem. Immediately after Great Well Gardens Mall heading towards town, there's a long stretch of red there, even before you get to the airport. So people coming from that side, Kitengela, Athi River, Syokimau, and Mlolongo, there's a problem there. Long stretch of red, Pale Karibu Sheshe Gardens, immediately after Great Wall Gardens Mall. After that, it's smooth all the way into town, and that's Mombasa Road. But a bit of traffic on the Eastern Bypass, not even a bit. Today, Merudi normal, all the way from Mihango, as you head towards the airport. The entire stretch of Utawala, kule kwa kina cameraman Moms, na pale KQ headquarters, a long stretch of red there as well. As you get closer to that interchange with Outer Ring Road, and as you continue onwards towards Cabanas, hiyo barabara has a lot of traffic this morning. The other major road, and this is the other big tributary into the city, Thika Road, not so bad this morning. A bit of traffic at Githurai heading towards town, Kasarani kama kawaida, Pale Garden City Mall. After that, you'll only encounter traffic after KCA University, Pale Utalii Drift Survey, na Pangani Interchange. Kiambu Road, a bit of traffic after DCI heading towards Muthaiga. Nothing out of the ordinary there. And I can see kuna barabara nyingine hapa, Kangundo Road. KU nini inaitwaje, Kangundo Road, it's getting heavy as well. Let's take a look at Jogoo Road.
hiyo huwa inaleta shida sana, but today not so bad. Hata pale Makadara today not so bad. That stretch up to the Likoni Road junction, City Stadium building up, and Haile Selassie Avenue both sides once you get into the CBD. Not so bad this morning. No, just a bit of red pale karibu Landis roundabout. All the other roads are not so bad this morning. Let's take a look at, join our reporter this morning on the ground. We do have our cameraman on the road. These are live pictures from the CBD. And you can see, Nairobi, let me tell you something. It's only 6:30, 6:35.
Yeah.
Just see how busy the central business district is in Nairobi. Nairobians don't sleep.
Yeah, 24 hours
up
economy.
and about. Matatus are there. Whatever you say about matatu culture, but everyone is busy. Nairobi uliambiwa ukikosa pesa hiyo ni uvivu.
Kujitakia.
Hiyo ni kujitakia. Yeah. Everyone is up and about, people on foot, pedestrians there, commuters landing into town, but you can actually see kuna baridi. Kuna baridi hata town. Everyone amevaa jacket na nimeona mwingine amevaa mboshori. Unajua mboshori?
Yes.
Ile unafunga mpaka hapa hivi unabaki.
Marvin.
You think you're from Saudi Arabia. Yeah. So that's a traffic situation and live pictures there from the central business district. Hata watu wa kwenda huko ni wapi? Ni Eldoret.
Ini kama
ama ni Umasaini. Kuna watu areas around Afya Center, hapo ndo utapata bagari za kwenda hata Turkana. Unashangaa mtu anaenda saa hii asubuhi ndo anaenda Turkana.
Lazima sister unaenda, sister Kisii.
Even Kisii.
Yeah.
And Kisumu as well as Busia. At least hii inaitwa barabara gani? This is
Tom Mboya
Street.
Yeah.
All right. All right, after the break, State of the Nation discussing the big headlines, the budget, some politics, and also matters to do with the reparations for victims of police brutality. Esther Passaris, a woman representative in Nairobi County, will be in studio alongside Wakili Joshua Nyamori, and one more person will be joining them later. We've already received apologies from James Gakuya, MP, Embakasi North, but we'll be here anyway. You can get interactive with us. Social media pages, TV47 News, TV47 Kenya.
Yes.
I keep saying TV47 News. TV47 Kenya on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. On X, TV47 Digital.
All right, you can tag us. My handle is at Annie_Dida.
Mine is at Freddy Ndimuli. Hashtag TV47 Breakfast. Hashtag Story News.
Kabisa. See you after the break.
p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hii simu yako.
Hamna pesa.
I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimewekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Ikikunywa maji.
Oh my God. He left me. Nitumie ni line.
Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? Hi-Fi?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tangu lini kero umeka kwa beauty product?
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
We won't entertain divas.
No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays
8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Booyah! We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that.
Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system, ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47.
Nairobi, where the hustle never sleeps and neither do the scammers.
Link Up, we are talking about something that's affecting all of us. We are talking trust.
We're diving into the campus life.
Stay fresh, stay safe.
Stay linked up.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Booyah! We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
This is a very serious place.
I see that.
Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system, ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
All right. Good morning once again and welcome back. This is TV47 Breakfast. My name is Fred Indimuli. Time for us to take a look at the big headlines. Now, I'm looking for the budget discussions on the front pages today, and we seem to have moved on, even without discussing it. None of the major dailies is talking about Kenya's budget. If you look in comparison to Tanzania, all the major dailies in Tanzania are still talking about the budgets. All the statements in East Africa budget statements were presented before the respective parliaments on Thursday last week. And we feel that it's something we should be discussing even as we move forward. Later this afternoon, we do expect, and throughout this week, that a lot of what was discussed in as far as the budget making process is concerned, that's the budget estimates, budget highlights, the finance bill will be tabled before the National Assembly today and later this week for debate, possible amendments, and later approval before the financial year kicks off on July 1st. Towards this discussion this morning, we are privileged to have in studio on my immediate left, Joshua Nyamori, Advocate of the High Court. Karibu sana wakili. And good morning. And next to wakili, we have Esther Passaris, Woman Representative, Nairobi County. It's good to have you back in studio.
I know, thank you. Been
it's
working and traveling.
Yeah. So, matters budget, and the problem is that Kenyans move very fast from these discussions. Later come out in the streets to complain. But there's a lot to be said about what was presented by the CS Treasury last week. Of course, they highlight 4.82 trillion shillings, a spending plan against a GDP growth downgrade to 5% from 5.3%. The fiscal deficit that has been talked about, we need to plug about 1.14 trillion shillings.
Yeah, 1.15.
Yeah, trillion shillings. And this is what we want to discuss. That we talked a lot about the budget making process. Wakili, if we may start with you. But we keep encountering the serious expenditure issues, that we have a budget that is way beyond what we can afford, even according to KRA estimates and what they've managed to collect so far, what they had anticipated to collect. We still have a huge deficit gap, and a huge deficit that will have resultant problems, especially in the local domestic borrowing market, because most of that will be plugged through domestic borrowing. But many pundits say that it is not a revenue problem, but rather an expenditure problem. We are spending way too much than we can afford. Wakili.
Yeah, definitely we are spending more than we can be able to collect annually, and that in itself is not the problem. You know, every government around the world, including the big economies like you know, the US, Japan, and so on and so forth, run on deficits. The issue is that are we spending on what is necessary, and are what we are spending on supporting production. And in my view, we have a challenge in the fact that we gave ourselves, through you know, constitutional making process, a very big government. You know, we have 48 governments to run. We all with you know, the public service, with institutions. Then we have, you know, the three arms. We have the commissions, and probably this is a discussion Kenyans should revisit. A lean government would become cheaper. But then when I look at this budget, I see a government that is struggling within, you see the little resources that is available to us to plug into those particular projects that would, and programs that would transform the livelihoods of the people. So I see quite, as the president has continuously, you know, committed a lot of significant commitment to infrastructure, to human development. And in human development, I'm talking about education, I'm talking about health, to, you know, the programs in agriculture, in digital technology and so on. So in my view, those are critical areas. We need to ensure that the implementation is efficient. We need to ensure that what we put in is actually productive, and so that in the long run, we are able to reap even from the borrowings that we do. That rather than, as in the past, borrowing to finance recurrent expenses, the borrowing should go specifically.
When you say in the past, because even now we're still borrowing to finance recurrent expenditure mostly, what goes to development is very little.
And that's what I'm saying, that what we need to, you know, refine is to continuously ensure that we push borrowing towards development, yes, rather than recurrent expenses. I think this has been an objective of this government, and I think there is progress in it.
Yes. Madam Passaris, a lot of blame has been directed towards Parliament, because budget making process is a parliamentary issue, and you've been on this process from September last year. Many are wondering, what is Parliament's role in determining how much we can spend, how much we should borrow? Do we just leave it to the executive? Surely there must be an input from Parliament where you can reduce some of this ambition to even borrow beyond what we can sustain?
You know, since I've got into government, I've realized that it's a tough balancing act. First of all, we've got a huge population with huge demands. Second thing, we've got challenges. If we want to stay ahead of the East African nations and position ourselves, which I think is the agenda of the president, right, to be a hub for investors, a hub for ICT, a hub for youth engagement and employment, food security, medical, infrastructure, housing. I mean, it's a tough balancing act. So I think Parliament, you know, Parliament is a house of representatives from various political parties. The ruling party, of course, being UDA, and now with this broad-based arrangement, you are in Parliament, and your job is not just to cut everything that the executive wants. Your job is to understand that the executive is also serving your constituents, the ones you represent. The county governments are also serving the constituents that you represent. And then the judiciary is also an arm that cannot be ignored. Everybody comes with their pressing needs. And there are going to be some winners and some losers. And the winners and losers will depend on who pushes more and what is the deliverables. I mean, this is the last year before the election. What are the deliverables that the president wanted? Are we there now as broad-based who support the president because we've seen his agenda and his vision and we embrace it? Are we going to be the stumbling block? You know, there comes a time where you have to be objective, not subjective. And I believe that, you know, not everybody gets pleased, but ultimately, I feel sometimes democracy has made us feel that we need to be against each other. No, democracy is about growth and deliverables and harmony and, you know, stability, peace, you know, and looking at everybody's democratic right. I think we went into multi-party politics and we immediately got to recognize something that I think we didn't know before. Or we did, but it wasn't so deep. We're different tribes, you know, with different needs. And there's a scramble for tribes and then division, you know, and it's scary, but I feel that Parliament has done what it has to do. The most important thing, now that we've got the budget, because you have a budget committee, now that you have the budget and it's been put, then you've got the finance bill, then you've got the oversight. Now, on the oversight is where I think we need to spend a lot of time and effort. It's also our role. So we give, presenters, the various ministries present the budgets, and then we as committees look into their budgets. So I'm in the Committee of Housing, and there they present their budgets, and we look at it and we see where do we feel there should be cuts, where should there be more money based on our experience as committee members. And then that is presented and defended by our chair of the committee. At that time it was the vice chair acting as the chair, Rindikiri, and he did an excellent job. But we had so many interactions with the ministry. So the executive comes to us, gives us a budget, defends it, we put our input as well. Then that's presented to the budget committee.
And I'd want to hear, because if at all they defend these budgets, and I'll use one example, the State House, Wakili. For example, the budget 2025-2026, the budget we are on right now, the spending plan we are on before this one is approved, had allocated State House, and I'm using State House as an example, because what happens at State House probably is the same thing that duplicates in other state departments. State House was allocated initially 8 billion shillings.
They cut it
then
down.
Through a supplementary budget, that spending went up to 17 billion shillings. How would we defend this? Is it a planning problem that some of the things that State House needed to be done could not have been anticipated during the budget making process much earlier, that we needed to double it within the same financial year? Isn't it could it be true that we are approaching this budget-making process a bit too casually? Or is the executive trying to hide behind supplementary budgets? That you tell Kenyans this, and probably your plan is already way bigger than that.
No, I think it is important that we improve our planning process so that we are able to anticipate at least annual budgets, and because we are working on the midterm planning framework that is a 3-year rolling program. So I think we should be able to improve on that. And listening to the CS for Finance, Honorable Mbadi, I think this is what he said the last time he was approving a supplementary budget, that he would want to, eliminate supplementary budgets. And I think this time he reduced the number of supplementary budgets. And that's critical. Now, when you speak about State House, I keep saying we should ask ourselves, is State House spending money on what is necessary? And I'll give you an example. I attended a leaders meeting at Kisumu State Lodge. Then it rained, okay? And the State Lodge was flooded, okay? And the State Lodge was leaking. It spoke to many years of neglect, of disrepair, of very critical, infrastructure in the country. And people would then think that if money is spent on rehabilitation State House and State Lodges, then it is comfort for the president. It's not. It's a critical, forum where Kenyans engage, and this is a government that has devolved governance from the State House in Nairobi to throughout the country. So in my view, it should be anticipated, but you see, we are not living in normal times. We are living in a moment when we have a leader who is pushing the limits, who is restoring the nation, who is making changes. For instance, look at what was done yesterday. It is revolutionary that a head of state can stand before cameras, standing side by side, but the head of the National Human Rights Commission and Parliament and Judiciary and the security agencies, and saying, for far too long, this country has been abusing human rights. And we must put this to an end. And to put it to an end, we recognize that there are victims. We cannot compensate life and injuries, but we give them reparation. We repair them. We give them back dignity. We make amends and reforms to ensure that never again it doesn't happen. That's powerful, and that's happening in a situation that was not envisaged probably 12 months ago. Okay, so some of these things that need to be done for Kenya to change are things
that compensating victims of police brutality is a State House budget.
No, I think you are simplifying this. You gave State House as an example, and you are talking of a broader issue. Okay, and I'm telling you that we are a nation conversing with ourselves. And through conversing with ourselves, new decisions will have to be made. The president travels to, the northern Kenya. When it travels to the northern Kenya, he carries the entire government with him, and some people who had never been there come face to face with many years of human rights abuses and exclusion.
This is how the budget is worked.
No. I'm telling you, we are not living in normal times. We are living in a country that is changing.
What is normal about our day-to-day running of this government? We do understand with the emergencies, which are also budgeted for.
It is not normal.
And this is discussed in Parliament. Allow me to get it from a parliamentarian because they are involved in this. When you approve, and I'm still using that example, you approve 8 billion shillings for State House, then later on you double that. What does it mean?
All right, so let me tell you what. For me, I think, first of all, we have to realize what is State House. State House is a representation of our government, all right? It is our it is our state. It's like the White House. And I'll tell you, I mean, in my first tenure as a parliamentarian, I think I visited State House once when Uhuru Kenyatta was being sworn in, and then probably 2 other times for state functions. What I've seen William Samoei Ruto do with State House, right, is Kenyans were being told it's our place, it's our home, it's ours. We should go and get there. So one of the things, of course, you cannot invade State House. And when you invade State House, then you bring down the country. And we don't want our country to be destroyed because of political divisions. All right. So security needed to be enhanced. That would definitely come into supplementary. All right, because you see that. Then, of course, when the president hosts a summit like Africa Forward with France, all right, that summit maybe came in before the budget. So, of course, it will have to be captured in supplementary.
Something as big as a summit?
Yes, because a year is a long period. A year is a long period. The summit could have been confirmed 6 months before. Then what's the point of having a budget? No, hold on. Let me tell you, it's not static. And the reason why you have a supplementary budget is because it's not fixed and cast on stone. So at the end of the day, if a summit is decided, let's have a summit to discuss. France and Kenya agrees, let's host a summit. Then Kenya needs to find the budget. The budget will obviously have to come in. State House will have to host the president. Then there are also issues emerging. Recently, we went there to launch every woman, every newborn, everywhere, a program, right? And we've had CHPs there. That, of course, requires people to go into State House. The president has opened State House to have discussions with government, with the citizens, and the programs of government. So that requires a budget. But let me tell you what, I think what we've done as Parliament, they went up from the last budget, where what they put in, they went to 17, from about 8 or 9 to 17.
The initial budget was 4.3 trillion last year. It ended up going to 4.7 trillion.
Right, we also hosted the Africa Climate Summit. We've hosted quite a number of summits, and these are good for Kenya. These are good for positioning Kenya. Hold on. You know, the thing is, you are
failing to anticipate things that definitely are there.
Okay, so you know what? We're not having a crystal ball where we can say, oh, tell us how the year is going to be. I mean, there's going to be, as he said, he went to the Kisumu State Lodge and he found it was flooding. The president has done something for all the state lodges. And you know what I like about this? Before, the state lodges were so dilapidated that you would only go in for the day and out. Now the president goes in and engages the citizens. Do you know there was a time that Raila Amolo Odinga, when he started thinking about devolution, he said there were parts of Kenya, like Wajir, for instance. I like the way the president apologized. It was so amazing to see Wajir host, yes, you know, a national celebration. And I want us to look at one thing. He is the president, given the mandate by the people, right? And what he is doing is a tough job and the tough balancing act. But Parliament this year, when they came up with 20 billion, we said no. I think we gave them 17 or 18.
All right.
So we are having those discussions and we hope that that will be sustainable so that we can use the money in other areas.
My question is, if we were to find that the entire plan we've been talking about for the budget is not sufficient, and we have to double the budget by the end of the year, what does that mean? Well, let's take a short break. We'll be back to continue these conversations around the budget and more.
Actually, I think I should tell him about COVID.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hii simu yako. Hamna pesa. I need 3 G's to make my nails today. Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimeekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Ikikunyuma.
Oh my God. You left me. Nitumie ni live.
Uko nje kuna Wi-Fi.
Why? High five?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tangu lini kero umeka kwa beauty product?
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
We won't entertain divas.
No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Booyah! We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that.
Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend.
All right, welcome back. You're still on TV47 Breakfast this morning as we continue discussing budget making process with the anticipation of the formal presentation or tabling in the House of the budget estimates, the budget highlights as were read out last week, and the finance bill as well for further debate by the members. I would like to welcome Boniface Nyamo onto the panel. He is a political commentator. Karibu sana, Boniface. And just before you came on set, you had the kind of arguments here because we are faced with a serious fiscal deficit. And pundits argue that it's a spending problem, not probably a revenue issue. There are challenges with the revenue collection, but it's majorly an expenditure problem. And I was using the example of State House, that in our planning, during the budget making process, you allocate a department this much money, and then in the middle of the year, you find it necessary to double that budget. Yet there was already a deficit. Isn't this just making the problem worse?
Thank you very much. I want to start by agreeing with those people who are saying that our problem is not revenue, our problem is expenditure. Why am I saying this? If you look at the budget that has just been presented by Badi, you realize we have a deficit of over 1 trillion. So I was asking myself, can you imagine a situation whereby you have a home, you have a wife, you earn 60,000, then your wife earns 40,000. When you put it together, it becomes 100,000. When you sit to plan for that month, you start planning for 150 or 200,000. It is irresponsible. It is a question of spending. I also want to give you examples for you to understand that it's not about, yes, we have challenges with revenue, but at least we are supposed to live with, within our means, not beyond our means. The president has been telling every Kenyan to tighten their belt. Unfortunately, it seems that this belt is only supposed to be tightened by Kenyans, but not the president and the people working for him. For example, State House, a budget of around 20 billion shillings. And previous governments, like the last 3 years, we were doing a budget of 5-6 billion. Then we are now doing what has doubled in State House. It's because of so many renovations that are necessary. If you look at State House today, it almost looks like a B&B. Then if you go forward, you look at the SHA.
What do you mean it looks more like a B&B?
It looks like flashy boys hiding.
Have you ever been there?
I have been there several times.
Okay. So
countless times.
Yeah, I think the president has done an amazing job.
Let's just allow him to finish. I'll give you an opportunity.
So let's go to SHA. SHA, which is giving us a lot of problems. The system that SHA is using, and it's still failing, was procured at a cost of over 100 billion shillings. In the Muli, even where we are today, you also use systems. You know, systems can be expensive, but not to the extent of reaching over 100 billion shillings. Moving forward, you go to defense. I know defense is supposed to be funded, but if you look at the budget for defense, I'm not talking about security or internal security, defense, it almost doubled. Well, I have no problem with funding defense, but there should be an explanation. Why, for example, did we give defense 70 billion last year, and then this year you want to give it 140 or 150 billion? Are we at war? What is this that we are buying? You know, even if they say it is classified what, if it's vehicles you are buying, there's nothing classified about
Whose role do you think it should be to check this level of expenditure?
It is Parliament. Parliament should be the one checking the executive. Unfortunately, we have a member of Parliament in the name of Honorable Esther Passaris. He's here, she's here defending government instead of checking government. You know, Esther, Parliament is a norm in itself. It is not actually supposed to be speaking on behalf of government. The person who is supposed to be defending government and speaking on behalf of government and the president are the minister, the executive. Parliament is supposed to be asking the hard questions. Moving forward,
I come to you, Passaris. Now that you agree, Wakili,
they will have. I just want to finish my point.
Very briefly,
just to show you how they are just wasting money. You see, Nairobi-Naivasha highway. It's being built as we speak. But the contract was cancelled. The initial contract was cancelled. The consequence of cancelling that contract cost us over 7 billion shillings. You know, it's like giving 7 billion shillings because of doing nothing. And it went with the French people and contractors. Lastly, if you look at Wajir, where we held our celebrations, it was good, we have no problem with that. But the problem with this government is priority. They built a beautiful stadium and we have no problem with that. But surely, if you go to Wajir and ask the people of Wajir, what is your priority? Are you sure they will tell you that what we needed most to be constructed with almost 1 billion is a stadium? They need water, they need roads, they need good hospitals. So the problem with this government is expenditure and priorities.
As we wrap up this discussion about the budget, Wakili, you agree that it's a spending problem. Who is this that should check the spending by the executive?
I think we've spoken to that. My point is that
I think I'll repeat for the benefit of our
audience. I have said that we need to refine our budgets. We need to reduce our expenditure, and this is something that it's not necessarily for the top executive alone. As Kenyans, we also need to reduce our expectations on what the past that the government has can be able to provide. So it is a national discussion that we should have. But then it is imperative that we correct the impression. We need to correct the impression that budget is not an executive instrument. It is actually a parliamentary instrument. It is the budgeting process in the new constitution is done by parliament. The executive can just give a proposal, but the ultimate document is owned by parliament, and parliament gives it to the executive. So I think it is not proper to then attack a parliamentarian when the parliamentarian, like Esther Passaris, defends that they put over 700 billion on education, and they put over 428 billion or something on devolution, and they put over 175 billion on healthcare. These are critical. We cannot measure on the small things, and we forget about the big things, and it is critical because it is only through this government that we have been able to expand. Where previous governments would employ 3,000 teachers, this government in 3 years has employed 100,000 teachers. That's revolutionary. That's not normal. You are talking about whether it's normal or not normal. That's not normal. This government is building infrastructure. Is in northern Kenya. It's not normal because sessional paper number 10 ensured that development was only concentrated in a few areas.
Good. No one is challenging that.
Building Rironi Mau Summit Road is not normal.
Thank you, Wakili.
Okay.
Thank you, Wakili.
Yeah.
The question comes back to Parliament, Madam Pasaris, because the issue is, fine, the executive may be willing to do all these things, but you can only do it according to what we can afford.
Yes.
And that is a role of Parliament. Do you agree?
Yes,
Now,
absolutely.
the issue is, whenever the executive comes with its spending plan, and it could be a wish list, is Parliament's role simply to rubber stamp that?
We cannot.
That State House can double its budget and you simply say yes? That's the question we're asking.
Let me tell you, we cannot spend what we don't have. If you know the procurement rules of this country, you have to have a budget before you can go and procure. So they're very open. They're saying, look, these are the plans that we have to do. This is the shortfall that we have. This is what we're going to collect with taxes. But if we spur up the economy, we might find that we might even collect it just through tax. I like what the president did with the housing levy. Everybody was against it, but then it was innovative. Let's find some money. I like what he's done with SHA. Let's peg the deductions to how much you're earning. I mean, I pay about over 30,000 for SHA. So I'm helping those who cannot pay. So I want to come back to what we were talking about in terms of the software for SHA. So if you have a private medical cover and you go to a hospital, it's biometric. SHA, this software of 100 billion is over a 10-year period. I don't know why we don't want to hear what is going on. It's over a 10-year period, so 10 billion every year for the software. But do you know how much we're going to save? We are going to save over 20 billion in fraud, because now you cannot go to a hospital and they say Pasaris was here, we operated her. You know, there was the auditor report said that there was a woman who had cesarean section over 5 times. So now you cannot do that, because for you to be treated, for you to get medication, for you to be operated, you have to present your finger. So your biometric. So Esther can only go there. So this system of 10 billion every year for the software is going to save us, right? And well, we were losing 20 billion, right? But probably now we'll be losing 30 billion, but with the 10 billion, we're still going to have a saving. So you see, these systems are put in place. You have to make these expenses so that you can actually improve the systems. And I think one of the things that we don't appreciate, or Kenyans don't appreciate, is how William Samoei Ruto is fighting corruption in his own strategic way. By putting this software, you will bang him and shout at him and say, oh, he's spending 10 billion, 100 billion. You know, when you say 100 billion, oh, software, he's given it to his friend, he's given it to somebody that they're making money. But at the end of the day, if you look at Susan Nyankumicha, when she was in the Ministry of Health, she actually flagged NHIF and said, we were losing 20 billion annually on fraudulent claims. So for me, I think in the end, you know, time always has all the answers. We had the housing tax. Are we not seeing the houses? We've created over 700,000-800,000 jobs with housing. So as he just said, you know, education, we've put in a lot of money for education. So we're going to be able to fund health properly. We're going to be able to hire the teachers and pay the teachers. We're going to be able to take on the interns who are also asking for a pay. So, you know, everybody has to realize that it's a balancing act. For me, I think we need to obviously reduce the fiscal space, and we're working towards that. We're trying to make SAGAs and government entities to become more efficient. We had a few of them that came in, and we realized when they don't pay debts that they're supposed to be paid.
This is an active discussion.
Yes, yeah, we had this discussion just last week with two in Public Investment Committee, with two bodies that came to see us. It's in the Hansard, and we told them very clearly, you're not paying your debt. Government has to order. You're widening the fiscal. You're reducing the fiscal space, so we can't do other things. If we just manage our SAGAs in terms of oversight, for them to be able to do what they're supposed to do, to cover their own debt and not wait for a treasury to pay their debt, because we have to honor our debt. If we have a debt with Africa Development Bank, we have to honor it. Okay. So I think what I want to say is that, you know, when Uhuru Kenyatta was in State House, when he was the president, he was once asked, how can you handle corruption? And he said, it's a big elephant. No can do. But William Samoei Ruto is handling it through projects. Kenya is a construction site. I was in Mombasa recently.
Corruption is being handled through projects?
Through projects. You know what?
Which project?
All the projects, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's housing, whether it's software for SHA. Because you are seeing where the money is going. Before, you were still spending the money, losing the money, but you couldn't see where it's going. Now the question is, we're seeing where the money is. There's medicines in hospitals, all right? There are beds being increased. There's classrooms being built. Nairobi has over 1 1 billion shillings in additional classrooms. Our children were not having classrooms. I mean, we're decongesting classrooms. So what I want to say is that's one way of dealing with corruption. Do the projects. Put the money so people can see the projects. When you look at all the housing projects, you cannot say that the 170 or 80 billion that we're collecting in the levy or we've budgeted for is lost. You're seeing the housing. All right. When you look at the schools, you're seeing the classrooms. I mean, I want to say that there are many ways to skin a cat. And here's one way. But we still have a problem with corruption in the sense that the various institutions that are still not well managed, right, are still having areas where they're siphoning. Okay. But I tell you one thing, this country is in a better space economically than it's ever been since independence.
The biggest problem we have is the spending.
Yes.
We currently have a deficit of 1.15 trillion shillings, which is causing a problem for everyone. If at all the spending changes through a supplementary budget, that deficit grows. It will have to be funded through domestic borrowing mostly. If at all KRA fails to collect what they had anticipated, that deficit grows even further. Pundits say it's a spending problem. What exactly can we do? Who should we look at, or who should we look to help us contain the level of spending by this administration? That's the main question we're asking. Part of what many people probably simplify is a government travel budget, the president's travel budget, that he spends too much on travel, foreign travel, for example, even locally. Right now, for example, the president is in France to attend the G7 summit. Not many people feel the necessity of it. It could be necessary, but on the face of it, do we really need that level of travel? These are the questions many people are asking. We do have the president telling us his diary about what he needs to do in the next 6 months, but we also have Muthoni Brenda, who's on standby with the Bunge la Mwananchi in the CBD to discuss this level of spending by government. Very good morning to you, Muthoni. What are the people of the Bunge la Mwananchi? All right, we'll be getting to Muthoni. We'll be getting to Muthoni later. Let's get what the president had to say.
Kwa hivyo msikuwe na wasiwasi na mimi. Wengine wangasema pengine huyu mtu angeenda holiday, sijui angeenda wapi. Wewe kama unataka kwenda holiday, wewe enda holiday. Hiyo ni sawa. Mimi niko na kazi ya kufanya. Na diary yangu, ukiangalia diary yangu imejaa miezi 6 mbele kila siku. Lakini ni kwa sababu hii nchi, kubadilika kwa hii nchi inataka bidii. Tumechelewa. Kuna nchi tulikuwa sawa na wao miaka 60 iliyopita. Nchi ya Korea ilikuwa kama Kenya. Nchi ya Singapore ilikuwa kama Kenya. Nchi ya Malaysia ilikuwa kama Kenya. Lakini wametuacha nyuma kwa sababu sisi tumelegeza mwendo. And that is why we must accelerate our development. We must work the extra mile. Ndio tuhakikisha kwamba Kenya inafikia wale walikuwa na sisi na pengine hata tuwapite. Na Mungu ametujalia, I want to say this. Mungu ametujalia katika taifa letu la Kenya. We are making progress. Demonstrable progress. Na tumekuwa na favor ya Mungu.
So it's been suggested on this panel that there's a lot of things that just happen and find us by surprise. But the president says that his diary is full 6 months ahead of time, meaning that these are things that have to be planned for, that the president knows what exactly he's going to do in the next 1 month, in the next 2 months, in the next 3 months, including his travel both locally and internationally. So where are we getting it wrong? Can't we just plan properly at the initial budget-making phase and provide for the president everything he needs at once? What is this that occurs in the middle of the year for us to double the budget?
I want to start where the president has stopped. The president keeps telling us that we are making progress. But I want to remind the president, if you are a leader, it is not for you to keep telling the people that we are making progress. If we are indeed making progress, it is for us, the common people, who are supposed to say, with this government, we can see us making progress. So I don't think it's in the president's place to keep telling us that. Number two, I've heard Mheshimiwa talk about President William Ruto is fighting corruption through projects. Mheshimiwa, I want to tell you that President William Ruto cannot appear in the same sentence, in the same statement with fighting corruption. Those ones must be separated. The one that has William Ruto should not be the same with the one that has fighting corruption. She has talked about procurement has been streamlined. I want to tell you that, Mheshimiwa, you might not know, but I will tell you. The president has been using private planes to go to those trips. I do not know when that plane was procured that is costing us almost $500 million in 1 week. So when she says that procurement has been streamlined, there's no wastage, there's a lot of wastage, there's no procurement, there's not open procurement. Even public procurement is done with a lot of secrecy, because there are people who are benefiting out of those.
Do we, for example, know if at all for the president's travel they use the e-procurement system?
They don't use it. I can confirm to you, and I want to tell you, if for you to use e-procurement, if you go to the system right now, you are supposed to see it. I am challenging you. Tell me where the procurement for those private planes that the president is using was done. It was not done. Number two, I've heard Mheshimiwa say that there are medicine in hospitals. Mheshimiwa, you are a representative of the people. I do not think that view that you have taken is what represents the views of Nairobi. There are no medicine in hospitals. You go to a hospital like Mbagathi, Mama Lucy, and then when you get out, and then when you go to a doctor, he prescribes medicine for you and then tells you, go and buy out there. So there are no medicine. About SHA, they keep telling us it's working. I'm telling them, if they are sure SHA is working, why is the president, why is ministers, why are members of parliament having private insurances? If SHA is working, see, they do away with the insurance and come, we be covered by SHA together. But they cannot do that because they know it is not working. Because why should we have two insurances? Private insurance and SHA. So we just do with one. So I'm telling you, these leaders that we are having are like living in utopia. They are not in tandem with the reality. If you hear them say that SHA is working and they are medicine in hospitals, that's a serious red flag that they have lost touch with the reality.
Okay, because I want you to respond to the
I'll respond to the bite by the president. Yeah,
it's you who said that some of these visits to State House just occur and they find us by surprise. Hence the reason.
I mean, the G7 invitation.
The president says his diary is full for the next 6 months.
Right.
He understands what is.
But there might be something else that will come up that was probably not in the diary that is equally important for Kenya. So let me tell you what, the G7 was not in the plans of Kenya's travels. It was not, because it's by invitation. So France, after the Africa Forward, which we successfully hosted, France invites President William Samoei Ruto. Now he's there not just for Kenya, he's there for Africa. Africa has a seat at the G7, and I think that's an honor. And what will it do for us? What will it do? It will increase market access, climate financing, tourism growth, technology transfer, jobs for Kenyans. So for me, I think I'm actually very, very proud that my president is at the G7, a table with important leaders to discuss Africa and Kenya.
It was not planned for.
And of course it wasn't. He wasn't invited. This invitation came just last week. The last person who went was Ramaphosa. Now, we cannot procure the president's flight, airplane on
e-procurement.
E-procurement because of national security. Please, let's be realistic. You can't just let any Tom, Dick, and Harry fly the president. Number three, we have devolution. Please get the Senate here, get Sifuna, Mimini Sifuna, to come here and talk about why there's no medicine in Mbagathi and where else? Because you said 2 hospitals, also counting
Mama Lucy.
Mama Lucy and that is now, you need to be on the same panel, you and Sifuna, but I do not see you asking that question to Sifuna, because you're obviously stereotyped. So also to say that the president and corruption cannot be put on one line. Do you know me, I've seen people insult the president. And what I love about the president is, semeni vile munataka mimi ninafanya kazi. And I'll tell you one thing, William Samoei Ruto, God put him in that office at such a time as this, because we have gotten to a place where you have social media, you have misinformation, you have fake news, deep fakes, and then you expect I mean, I saw him, he was in a coffin. He's still running around. So the people who want to deal with all that online hullabaloo continue. William Samoei Ruto is working tirelessly for Kenyans, and I say that Kenya is blessed to have him as a leader at such a time as this.
This discussion was about the budget and whether we anticipate some of these issues, or that could be contributing to the looming expenditure that is uncontrollable. That's the issue. Wakili, the president says he has his diary full for the next 6 months. Of course, he may anticipate international travel. Are we saying that this cannot be planned for? That things do happen and shock us, that, oh, the president has been invited to the G7 summit and we are shocked at that? We cannot anticipate this?
Fred, I think it is important not to misinterpret what the president said. The president said his diary is full 6 months ahead. Basically what he meant, he has a lot of things to do in Kenya, okay? If he had an option, he would stay here and do them. He's busy here. But he has to travel because we have, a diplomacy policy. Our foreign policy is to have strategic diplomacy, okay? To engage in the international forum in a way that alters the way Kenya and Africa has been treated with regard to financing. Okay, so that we move from begging to trading, and we have seen successes in that. And rather than trying to focus on whether this was in the budget, whether the head of military, okay, our head of state, who is also the head of military, whether the procurement for his plane was in the EGP, for everybody in the world to know which plane he's traveling with, we should be focusing on. Has this president, altered the conversation about, financing? Has this president, through his trip, procured trade to Kenya? Has he procured market for our coffee, for our tea? Has he ensured that there is no more investment in industrialization? But you see, the government critics will not want to discuss this because they know that on those levels, the president is performing beyond expectation, is performing perfectly. And therefore, they would rather keep you in things that do not concern the performance of the president. When he talks about, for instance, the issue of Mbagathi Hospital and another hospital, he should talk to the county governments. Okay? The county governments have not said that the government is not paying them, reimbursing them for sure. They're getting reimbursed. So we need to engage county governments. Right. I tell you, for instance, in my county of Kisumu, okay, take an update from the there have been increased insecurity. When we try to analyze why there is increased insecurity, we found that the government, through a World Bank funded program, lit up the town by putting infrastructure for street lighting. But the county government, for the last 1 year, is not paying bills. Right. So the town is dark.
Thank you, Okili.
Then you will blame the government for that.
Thank you, Okili, for that.
Okay.
Let's get an update from the streets. Modoni Brenda is now ready with a few residents of the city to discuss this issue. Government spending. Are we getting it right? Modoni, good morning. What are the people in Nairobi telling us about the budget spending plan?
A very good morning to you, Fred Indimuli, and the panel in studio. And just like you guys, the conversation here at Bunge la Mwananchi has stuck at the skies. Over the recent few months, there has been public debate over the frequent trips of the President William Ruto. And here at Bunge la Mwananchi, tumekuja kusikia maoni yao. Do they think it is active diplomacy ama wanaona namna gani? Nitaanza hapa na mwalimu wetu. Habari yako, good morning. Karibia hapa kidogo. Habari yako, good morning.
Good morning, Kenyans.
Maoni yako ni yepi kuhusu the frequent trips za President William Ruto?
What I can say, ama kila ambacho naweza kuzungumzia kuhusu ziara za rais katika mataifa ya nje, ni kwamba kila wakati rais anapotoka, sijaona kama hizo ziara zimekuwa zafaa kwa wananchi wa Kenya. kwa sababu sisi tunataka rais akienda katika mataifa ya nje, tunatarajia kwamba anaenda kuzungumza na wawekezaji ambao wakikuja hapa wakiwekeza, kazi zao zitakuwa na umuhimu kwa Wakenya moja kwa moja. Lakini kulingana na takwimu tunaambiwa kwamba tangu Rais Ruto achaguliwe kuwa rais, ameenda nje zaidi ya mara karibu 60 na zaidi, na ametembelea mataifa zaidi ya karibu 60. Na pia anatueleza kwamba bajeti ya mwaka 2025-26 inaonyesha kwamba zile pesa ambazo zilikuwa zimetengwa State House
We do apologize for that technical hitch. We're hoping that we'll be getting back to the Bunge la Mwananchi to tell us more about what they feel about the spending. And can we plan for it?
I wanted to have my right of reply, and I will start by reminding Honorable Esther Passaris.
Unfortunately, I have to cut you short so that we go back to that. Do we have it back on? Sorry, Boniface, let's continue.
Thank you very much. I want to start by reminding Mheshimiwa Esther Passaris that when we talked about there were no medicine in hospital, she was quick to tell us that we should ask Sifuna. I want to remind her that Sifuna is a legislator just like her. The people to be asked about medicine is the president and the governors because they are national government hospitals and they are county government hospitals. Moving forward, you know, when they talk about corruption at its being fought, in fact, it's a mockery. I think it's satire. I give you a live example. Recently, the president sacked his minister for energy in the name of corruption and all that. We were told that he was supposed to be taken to court. I have got news for you. Do you know that PS and the team, they have never appeared before any court? They said they caught them with a lot of money due in bags and what. We do not know where that money went. They were never taken to court. Moving forward, this government has used an article in the Constitution called Article 223, which allows the government, in case of an emergency, for example, there is flood, there's an earthquake, we had not planned money to do that, you can use money and then go back to Parliament and regularize by seeking approval. Now, they are using Article 223 even to spend money in State House. What is the emergency in State House? Is the president travel an emergency? Another thing I wanted to say, this government poor planning is causing all these problems. Do you know we have no problem with the president traveling in a good plane? Of course, he's the head of state. But do you know the money he has spent from the time he started traveling is actually enough to buy a new presidential jet? So it's just a matter of poor planning and corruption. So we are telling them, because they told us the plane that he was using was condemned, why can't they procure a new plane that for prosperity? Even the next president will use it, the next one after him will use it, instead of using Uber as a...
It was not budgeted for. A new plane was not budgeted for.
Thank you for that. I want us to finish off with the people in the streets of Nairobi because they're also waiting for us. If we have them ready, Modoni, kindly proceed with the interview we're having with the people on the streets of Nairobi, please.
All right, we do apologize for that technical hitch, Fred Ndimuli, but here at Bunge la Mwananchi, the conversation has stuck to the skies. And guys here, nasema hiyo sio active diplomacy, it's a burden on the taxpayer. Tulikuwa tunaongea na mwalimu hapa ambaye alikuwa anatueleza maoni yake kuhusu ziara za rais kwa nchi za kigeni. Mwalimu, as you were saying, pole for that.
Nitaendelea tu vile ambavyo nilikuwa nasema, kwa sababu ziara zenyewe tunapata kwamba zinagharimu wa Kenya pesa nyingi. Kwa mfano tumeona taifa la juzi ambalo rais aliweza kutembelea la Finland. Wakati rais wa Finland alikuja hapa Kenya, alitumia ndege ya mwananchi wa kawaida ambayo haiwezi kugharimu uchumi ama hela nyingi za taifa la Finland. Na ukiangalia uchumi wa Finland ukilinganisha na Kenya, hilo ni taifa ambalo limeendelea zaidi. Lakini wakati rais wetu anaenda Finland kwenyewe, anatumia ndege ambayo inagharimu mamilioni ya pesa kwa sababu yeye anataka kusafiri kama mfalme. Sasa tukiangalia masuala kama hayo kwamba safari ambazo zimelenga rais kwenda kutembelea mataifa nje ili aweze kuletea Wakenya maendeleo, yeye mwenyewe anatumia pesa nyingi sana ambazo zinatumika katika usafiri wake. Alafu pia nikasema kwamba badala ya rais kuzunguka kila wakati, yeye mwenyewe katiba inampatia uwezo wa kuwachagua mawaziri. Mawaziri ambao wamechagua wanafanya kazi gani? Kwa mfano mfano waziri wa masuala ya nje Bwana Musalia Mudavadi, ziara zingine ambazo rais anaenda ambazo anatumia mamilioni ya pesa, angekuwa anatumia rais waziri wa masuala ya nje za kigeni.
Lakini mwalimu, sijui kama ulisikia rais akisema kwamba diary yake iko booked. Kwa hivyo wale wanafikiria kwamba anaenda nchi za kigeni for touristic purposes, that we are absolutely wrong.
Ya, lakini yeye mwenyewe anapotoka ana uwezo pia wa kufutilia mbali na atume waziri. Pili, yeye mwenyewe anaporudi serikali yake haijajitokeza bayana kueleza Wakenya kwamba safari ambayo rais ameenda katika taifa fulani imeletea nchi yetu faida hii. Hatuambiwi. Tunaambiwa tu kwamba ako booked mpaka tarehe 30 mwisho wa mwezi huu. Lakini anaporudi hatuelezwi hasa alipoenda katika taifa fulani ni faida gani ambayo Wakenya watapata kutoka katika safari hizi. Kwa hivyo sioni kama hizo safari zina manufaa. Alafu zile hela ambazo alikuwa ametengewa tayari ametumia kuzidisha. Alikuwa ametengewa 1.8 bilioni ambayo ilikuwa inastahili kutumika katika safari za nje. Ametumia zaidi ya hiyo. Na wanatueleza huu mwezi ukiisha atakuwa ametumia karibu 3.1 bilioni. Hizi hela zinaweza kutumika katika sekta zingine kama zile za afya ambazo zina matatizo, wizara ya elimu ambayo iko na matatizo. Badala ya kuharibu akizunguka bila mpango, atume mawaziri waende wamwakilishe na yeye akae chini angalie vile serikali inafanya kazi.
Alright, sawa. Let us get another perspective. Habari yako? Good morning mzee. Wacha kwanza tuanze na huyu kijana. Habari yako?
Salama sana.
Unanikalia wewe ni Gen Z?
Kabisa.
Wewe ni Gen Z niulize swali kulingana na hizi ziara za rais. Is it foreign diplomacy ama ni domestic presence? Wewe, what would you go for? The foreign diplomacy ama domestic presence?
I'm Brian Changa, a political analyst. In my view, it's not foreign diplomacy, it's domestic tourism. This is a presidency.
Sorry, my question was, do you prefer the foreign diplomacy or domestic presence? Which is better, rais aende atutafutie diplomacy ama kae hapa for domestic presence?
Well, it's not bad, but this is my view.
Yes.
What are the benefits that we are getting as a people? You know, we have to calculate the benefit and the cost of benefits. So as much as the president is going for those foreign travel, we are not seeing the goodies. And mind you, we've got ambassadors in those countries. So two things. Number one, if these diplomats at respective countries cannot help us, then let's scrap those positions. Or if the president must go, then the goodies must substantiate. You know, this is a presidency which is defined by excessiveness and wastefulness. We've seen so much luxury at taxpayers' cost, and that's what we are feeling. That's not right.
All right. Asante sana. Let us get another perspective here. Habari yako? Good morning.
Mzuri sana.
Wewe maoni yako ni yepi? Rais anatembea sana ama rais anafanya Kenya ikuwe a global powerhouse?
Mimi kulingana na maoni yangu, sisi ziara za rais hasina manufaa yoyote kwa mwananchi wa kawaida. Sababu tunatozwa ushuru, kodi ni kwa ajili tupate manufaa. Lakini tunapoangalia nchi, mustakabali wa nchi vile unakaa, hatujawahi ona serikali nyingine kama hii ambapo inatumia pesa mingi kuliko ile pesa inaingiza katika nchi. Tukiangalia saa hii Wakenya wengi kila mahali wanalia, si sekta ya elimu, si sekta ya usalama. Maana hata nikiongelea mambo ya usalama, tunaona makundi ya wauni yameonekana yakitatiza watu hata makanisani. Hata sisi hatusikii vizuri tunapoona, hata tunakuwa na hofu kuingia makanisani. Maana wanasiasa wameingia makanisa na hii kunism, tunasikia tu waziri wa usalama akisema kuna wanasiasa ndio wanafadhili. Na ile hali Mkenya wa kawaida analipa ushuru kwa sababu ya usalama wake, lakini unapata kuna kama Inspector General yuko. Kuna PS wa usalama. Lakini tunaambiwa kuna wanasiasa wanafadhili. Kwa nini hao wanasiasa wasikamatwe na wawajibishwe kwa makosa ya kubuni vikundi ambayo inaharibu usalama ya nchi?
Kwa hivyo wewe, in your view, hii pesa ambayo rais anatumia kwenda hizi ziara zake inafaa iwekwe kwa sekta zingine?
hizi fedha ambazo rais anatumia inafaa siweke katika sekta ambazo zinazo taasisi za kusaidia wananchi.
Na anze na hapo kwa usalama.
Na hapo kwa usalama. Wizara ya afya, wizara ya elimu, hapo ndio, alafu tuende kwa wizara ya kilimo.
Alright. Just around kidogo tu juu producer wangu ananiambia tukate. What is your view on the president's foreign trips? Angalia kamera tafadhali.
On the foreign trip of the president, this becoming too cumbersome, too hard for the common wananchi, in that there are people, a lot of money they are using in that movement, of which can be allocated in various sectors, whereby the health sector, security, for that matter, he ought to have used, in fact, if it's a matter that is going outside, he ought to have used a lot of small people in that can cut across the budget, whereby the essence of using very many people in this movement is too cumbersome, is too tedious to us. So we are appealing to the government, if at all is going outside for the benefit of us, let him cut the cost, the number of people who are going outside with him. Another thing, we are appealing to the government that, on the issue of Gunisu, we are just appealing to the government that, please, you have the power and mandate to actually to imprison those perpetrators, to actually be brought to book, so that we have a country whereby there is peace, it is enhanced, stability, and everybody is happy.
Thank you. There you have it, Indimuli. Those are the views of Kenyans here at Bunge la Mwananchi. Back to you in studio.
Brendan, thank you to the Bunge la Mwananchi in Nairobi and for your opinions on this matter. Before I come back to the panel here, let's go straight to Nakuru. Mike Chalo is also there, ready with another team of people from Nakuru. What is their perception about what we are discussing here, especially on budgeting matters? Mike.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Fred. And with me here at Nakuru CBD at the Bunge la Mwananchi along Kenyatta Avenue, I'll also be engaging some of the residents here in Nakuru. They'll be telling me what are some of their views about the president trips overseas. Tukianza na wewe chairman, ukianza na jina lako, pengine utuelezee maoni yako ni gani kuhusiana na usafiri wa rais katika mataifa ya ughaibuni na mataifa mengine ya nje?
Mimi ndio mwenyekiti katika Kenyatta Avenue, Bunge la Wananchi. Naitwa Geoffrey Nyang'au. Neno la kwanza ningesema, kusema ukweli, rais ni kiongozi wa nchi yetu na tulikuwa na tegemeo mingi kweli yeye usafiri nje, na kama mzazi ukisafiri nje au ukienda umetoka nyumbani umeenda sokoni, lazima ule mtoto umewacha nyumbani anategemea utarudi na kitu. Tanga aanze kwenda nje, wananchi wa Kenya matatizo ni yale yale, wanateseka, wanalala njaa, wanategemea mengi kutoka kwake. Kusema ukweli, shida siko Kenya. Shida ya Kenya inataka kiongozi ule ambao atasaidia hawa waweze kuinuka kiuchumi.
Rais anasema akienda nje anatafuta wawekezaji. Tumeona wawekezaji ambao pia wameweza kushughulikia sekta mbalimbali. Kuna Talanta Stadium, Rironi Mau Summit, na barabara nyingine nyingi tu ambazo pia zinaweza kujengwa. Pengine hayo si maendeleo?
Kwa kuona kwetu sisi kama wananchi wa Kenya, mambo ingine huwa ni history. Mambo ingine inasungumuzwa na hatuyaoni. Mwananchi wa kawaida hiyo imsaidie. Tunataka kiongozi ambao ule ambao ataenda nje awaletee kitu ambao rais alituambia pesa mfukoni. Sisi tunaongoja pesa mfukoni. Hiyo yote inafanywa ni history.
Asante. Pengine wewe kama kijana wa taifa hili, safari za rais ambazo amekuwa akienda mataifa ya ughaibuni kutafuta wawekezaji zimekufaidi vipi?
Mimi pande yangu mimi kwa majina ni Mohamed Ali. Pande yangu mimi janifaidi juu kama sasa mpaka sasa sina kazi. Nilimaliza form 4, sasa niko 2 years sijaipata kazi. Sasa hata Ruto bado akisafiri bado anatumia pesa za Kenya, umeona? Sio itakuwa tu ni shida juu bado anapeleka bado Kenya hasara.
Pengine maoni yako ni gani, rais anafaa afanye nini?
Rais Kenya anafaa kufanya ni kama ni kusafiri, asitumie pesa za serikali.
Atumie za nani? Rais ni mwajiriwa wa kwanza wa taifa hili.
Sasa unajua aje percent mingi pesa ya Kenya ndio inatumika, na hiyo bado ni pesa ya wananchi, unaona? Na hiyo ni tax bado. Na bado unaona tax aje bado sisi tunaumia. Sasa ningependelea tu atumie tu pesa zake.
Asante. Ndege ya rais anasema kuwa imejaa mafuta. Kwa miezi 6 ijayo, rais ataendelea kuwatafutia maendeleo nyinyi wa Kenya, mpende msipende. Maoni yako ni gani?
Kwa majina naitwa Douglas Renio. Haijafaidi mwananchi wa kawaida haswa. Ukiangalia bei ya mafuta imepanda, na yeye alisema pesa ya mwananchi wa kawaida atakuwa na maisha mazuri. Kitu ya kwanza afikirie, asikize wananchi wanalia, maisha ni ghali. GNC ukiangalia watoto hawana kazi, elimu imedorora, hospitali hakuna dawa. Tunaambiwa kata SHA haifanyi. Tutafanya nini ili rais atusikize sisi wa Kenya?
Maoni yako ni gani kwa rais? Unamshawishi afanye nini kwa muda ambao uliosalia madarakani kabla ya uchaguzi mkuu ambao utakuwa unaamua pengine hatima yake asalie ama aondoke?
Jambo la kwanza ni ajaribu kurudisha mafuta chini. Manake mafuta ndio kila kitu. Na Wakenya wanaumia, wengi hawana ajira. Na ingekuwa vizuri asikize vile wananchi wanasema. Manake wananchi ndio waliompa hiyo nafasi. Na asiposikiza basi itaenda kivingine.
Thank you so much. Fred, those are some of the residents here in Nakuru CBD along the Kenyatta Avenue. Chenye wanataka ni safari za rais ziweze kumfaidi mwananchi wa chini. All that, back to you.
Thank you so much, Mike Chalo, our reporter in Nakuru, and for getting us those opinions from the residents of that city, county, on this issue of the budget-making process. I know the example being used is about the president, but he leads from the top. If at all he appears to be overspending, then everyone else would feel that the entire government is doing the same. Wakili, what would you say to the sentiments on the ground?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting when I see you guys engage in deep policy, foreign policy discussion in the streets.
Are you saying that Kenyans do not understand what people are talking about?
Fred, you need to allow me.
No, Akili. Are you saying that normal Kenyans on the streets of Nairobi or Nakuru
Fred,
do not understand that?
Are you going to allow me to
It's a question I'm asking you because you're accusing our viewers
allow
of
me
not
to finish. Allow me to finish what I'm saying because I'm addressing just that. When you undertake, public participation, the first and most important thing is that you need to build the capacity of the public. Okay? For instance, the media that is going out there knows very well that when the president traveled to China, he secured a 98% of our export to China to go to China duty-free. Okay? That's our tea, that's our coffee, that's our nuts, and so on and so forth. Then when the president co-hosted the Nairobi Forum with France, and then now he's extending it to his trip to France, he actually helped negotiate for Africa a 23 billion shillings trade agreements, in which Kenya signed agreements of worth 170 million euros. That is something. And this goes to manufacturing, this goes to infrastructure. You also know that his trip to China resulted in the commitment to extend the rail that had stopped for 6 years, and it is going to Uganda. It's speaking to regional connectivity. And then when he traveled to South Africa, okay, if you read the sessional paper number 1 of 2025 on our foreign policy, it talks to in enhancing, the cooperation and trade within Africa. And the president has been leading in this. There was, some tension between Kenya and Africa. That was thawed. And trade, the president of Kenya, the president of South Africa, signed trade agreements between Kenya and South Africa. These are good things, and it is important that the media speaks to this, informs the public about this, and then asks the public, is it good for Kenya to trade with South Africa? Is it good that our 98% of our export will be getting to China duty-free? Is it good that, the rail that had been terminated in a private, farm in Naivasha is being extended to Kisumu, to then Malaba and the other parts of Uganda? It is good. It is opening those areas. Is it good that we are negotiating the president's trips is going to bring manufacturers? It is good. Okay, so it is important that when you go out to the public to then ask them, talk about these specifics, give them this information, and ask them what their opinion are. But you cannot go blanketly and ask them, is it good? And you're not telling them what the president is doing out there.
You just said that Kenyans don't understand what is going on.
Yeah.
Madam Pasaris, as you make your final comments.
I think every trip that the president goes, his agenda is to bring investors. Remember, the world, everybody's competing for these investors. I mean, I have been invited, and I want to talk to you about budget and the invitation. I've been invited by the Moroccan government, and I'm leaving tomorrow, actually tonight after midnight, for a forum where Morocco is trying to discuss how they can expand their economic partners and growth. When I went to this, when I wrote the letter to the clerk to seek permission to travel to Morocco, he just sent it to me, no budget. So I said, no, I don't need money. They're funding me a business class ticket, they're funding my hotel, I just need permission to go, right, to not be in parliament, to go to Morocco, to attend this. So everybody is looking for a way to expand and grow their economies. Now, I want to put it simple. If I have my home, all right, and I have a sick person, right, I can decide to treat the person at home with home remedies. Then the person gets even more sicker. Then I seek a doctor, the nearest facility. Then the person gets even sicker. Then I seek a specialist. So what's happening right now, we've got challenges. We've got the wars, and we've got Kenyans who don't want fuel prices to go up. We need, and a lot of that budget, the excess, is also because we're going to have to do some subsidiary funding in there. So what I want to say is that the president does not go on a trip on a holiday. First of all, he goes, he comes back, he does his domestic tours, he goes and oversees his own projects himself. He's so hands-on that you're not going to tell him that, oh, this project is going on. He goes himself and sees it. So what I want to say is that if we just sit in Kenya domestically and say the president should just stay here, where are we going to get the investors from? Where are we going to get the partnerships? Where are we going to get the aid? We need a lot of support from foreign players. And right now, that table that is going to sit the G7, he's going to be talking about our debt. He's going to be talking about climate compensation. We've been waiting for loss and damage as a continent. So for me, I feel that it's easy for you to just look at it, oh, I look at that, why Ruto keeps flying. Ruto keeps flying, all right? And I suggest that you actually get him on a panel, all you media people, and ask him. And he will actually flatten all of you by showing you all the benefits that he has. I think you should follow the president's page and look at what he's doing, because he's got 6.5 million followers. He is so hands-on in explaining everything. But those with eyes will see, those with ears will listen. All right, the others will just continue blubbering away. Okay. And what I want to say to Kenyans, that, he said, how is it translating to the people and the citizens? Yeah, those 100,000 Kenyans who've gotten jobs because of teaching jobs, because of Ruto's focus and attention, those students who have gotten into classrooms, those doctors who've been hired or interns who've been hired, the interns for housing. I mean, come on. Please don't finish my time. No, it's not your time. Let us understand something. You can critique anyone, even Jesus. they found fault with him. So find the faults with Ruto, but let's be honest with ourselves. Is the president delivering? Yes, he is. Can he solve all the problems in 3 years? Of course not. But he's setting the momentum. And I like what he said. You told me to talk about what he said. He said that in the 60s, we were the same. Baba used to say the same. Malaysia, South Korea, we were the same.
About his dad.
But the thing is, he said we need to race. And you know, this flying is the race to make sure that Kenya catches up with the countries that we were at par with in the 60s.
The president in 2023 directed significant restrictions on foreign travel for state officers to cut government spending. Final word.
Final word. I want to tell you that the reason as to why you think they're jittery about what people said, because they do not believe that the common mwananchi knows what is happening. The most enlightened citizen is a Kenyan citizen. I'll give you only 2 examples. That gentleman has made it sufficiently clear that we have no problem with the president traveling. But why is the president traveling in an expensive private jet when the president of Finland is using normal planes? Number 2, we have no problem with going to lobby for investors and money and all that. But we are saying it is not a must for the president to go in person. He has a foreign CS. He is a CS Foreign Affairs. That is a person who is supposed to be traveling from one plane to another, not the president. Finally, I have had another viewer say that the problem with us is that we are spending more than we are earning. So actually, we do not need to elaborate anything to the people of Kenya. They understand. Finally, one has said we are paying taxes. There is a lot of insecurity and a lot of goons. When we ask the minister responsible for security, he's every day, he's telling us it's about the goons. We have given you the responsibility. We have given you our money through taxes. Why don't you go for those goons? Why are you coming to lament to us it's the goons? So this government has failed. You can hear random samples from the people of Kenya. It is going home next year at 8 o'clock.
Wishful thinking.
8 o'clock.
We have to wait for the election. It's already 8 a.m. Unfortunately, our time is up. Asanteni sana.
I didn't have a closing.
Wakili Joshua Nyamori. Unfortunately, our time is up and we'll be eating into someone else's time. Joshua Nyamori, advocate of the High Court. Esther Passaris, woman representative, Nairobi County. And Boniface Nyamu, a political commentator. Asanteni sana for your time and for the robust debate that we've had. This will definitely continue. Matters budgeting and especially on the spending bit. Are we spending too much? And why? Is there a way that we can reverse this trend? This has been the discussion. After the break, we switch gears and talk about matters wage bill versus productivity, and later on, matters AI and democratizing education. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. See you later.